Greetings everyone, my name is AABHA and my topic is Kyoto Protocol. So here I begin.
According to the United Nations, the Kyoto Protocol is an agreement linked to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which commits its parties to setting internationally binding emission reduction targets. It was adopted in 1997, but the protocol has been active since February 2005. Some of the 192 countries which have signed the agreement include Australia, China, Russia, and Japan. United States of America and Afghanistan are the only two developed countries which haven't signed the agreement. For the developed world, there are many ways to achieve targets to reduce emission. One way is to partially pay for installation of technologies that lower greenhouse gas emission in developing countries. This is called the Clean Development Mechanism. For countries like India, China, and Brazil, it helps offset the cost of technologies and measures introduce greenhouse emissions.
Kyoto Protocol is a protocol to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change aimed at fighting global warming. The UNFCCC is an international environmental treaty with the goal of achieving stabilization of greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that would prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. The 6 main greenhouse gases were carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride. Principle of Kyoto Protocol. The protocol was based on the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities. It acknowledged that individual countries have different capabilities in combating climate change owing to economic development and therefore placed the obligation to reduce current emissions on developed countries on the basis that they are historically responsible for the current levels of greenhouse in the atmosphere. Here we can see share of CO2 emission in 1990 by various countries in the given pie chart. In year 1990, USA was the major producer of carbon dioxide. Now let us talk about Kyoto Protocol aims. First, industrialized countries to cut emissions to 5% below 1990 levels by 2008 or 12. Second, had varying targets European Union by 8% and Japan 5% as it is a low polluter. Countries like Iceland were allowed to increase emissions. As we know that Iceland is considered in the developing nations, that's why it was allowed to increase emissions. Conference of Parties COP. What is Conference of Parties? A Conference of the Parties is the supreme governing body of an international convention. The UN Conference of Parties on Climate Change was a conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Here we can see Conference of Parties was held in different years at different locations. First COP was held in 1995 in Berlin Mandate. The second one was held in year 1996 in Geneva, Switzerland. The third COP was held in year 1997 in Kyoto, Japan, and so on. COP8 was held in year 2002 in New Delhi, India. Let's talk about the recent COP meetings held in the world. COP24 was held in year 2018 in Katowice, Poland. COP25 was held in year 2019 in Madrid, Spain. COP26 was held in year 2021 in Glasgow, Scotland. We can see in this picture a physical map of world in which we can see USA is the major producer of carbon dioxide. And on the second number is China, third Russia, fourth India, fifth Japan, sixth Germany, seventh Canada, 8th United Kingdom, 9th South Korea, and 10th Iran. There were two solutions to decrease greenhouse gases. They were trying to increase fuel efficiency or switching from coal and oil to energy resources that emit less or no carbon dioxide, such as natural gas, solar energy, wind-powered energy, or nuclear energy. And the second is use of carbon sequestration, an approach that involves taking carbon dioxide out of atmosphere. Protocol's first commitment. The protocol's first commitment period started in 2008 and ended in 2012. All 36 countries that fully participated in the first commitment period complied with the protocol. However, 9 countries had to resort to the flexibility mechanism by funding emission reductions in other countries because their national emissions were slightly greater than their targets. The financial crisis of 2007 to 2008 helped reduce the emission reductions were seen in the former Eastern Bloc countries because the dissolution of the Soviet Union reduced their emissions. The global emissions increased by 32% from 1990 to 2010. Let me tell you that the financial crisis of 2007 to 8 was also known as the global financial crisis. It was caused by deregulation in the financial industry that permitted banks to engage in hedge fund trading with derivatives. When the values of the derivative crumbled, banks stopped lending to each other. That created the financial crisis that led to the Great Recession. Protocol's second commitment. A second commitment period was agreed to in 2012 to extend the agreement to 2020. Known as Doha Amendment to the Kyoto Protocol, in which 37 countries had binding targets. Australia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine stated that they may withdraw from the Kyoto Protocol or put into legal force the amendment with second round targets. Japan, New Zealand and Russia had participated in Kyoto's first round but did not take on new targets in the second commitment. Other developed countries without second round targets were Canada, which withdrew from Kyoto Protocol in 2012, and United States, which did not ratify. As of October 2020, 147 states had accepted the Doha Amendment. It entered into force on 31st December 2020, following its acceptance by the mandated minimum of at least 144 states, although the second commitment period ended on the same day. On the 37 parties with binding commitments, 34 had ratified. Let me tell you that the meaning of ratify is to give approval. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.